Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday's ESPN FC Live, our thrice weekly live stream on YouTube. Mark Donaldson, delighted to be alongside Janusz Michallik for this one. We're going to be speaking about who will win the Ballon d'Or first. Will it be Jude Bellingham or Erling Haaland? We'll take an in-depth look at the Premier League. Some teams struggling, some teams punching above their weight in Premier League Express, and plenty transfer talk as well to get our teeth into. Well, someone that came not really very close to winning the Ballon d'Or at the time, but he certainly had plenty to say about the Ballon d'Or over the past 20 years. Janusz Michallik, let's talk about two players in particular. And I want you to look into your crystal ball, if you don't mind, and tell me who you think is going to win it first. Erling Haaland, who had such a brilliant first season at Manchester City, or Jude Bellingham, who's having such a brilliant season in his first year at Real Madrid. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to logically explain this. Even if you're guessing, 50-50. Look, I mean, what Jude Bellingham is doing is incredible, right? He's at a big club, which I think, not that Erling Haaland isn't, but Real Madrid is Real Madrid. If you were to continue doing what he's doing right now consistently, then you'd like to think that his all-around game, may just be a little bit better. Because Erling Haaland's going to have to score 30 plus goals, I think. International football makes a big difference, and that's, I suppose, unlucky for Erling Haaland in Norway. You look at Jude Bellingham; he's an important part of the English team already. Again, they're going to be one of the favorites in Germany. Now we know, of course, in 2028, European Championships are going to be, in what is it, Mark? 5 or 6 countries.
UK and Ireland.
Right. So, I mean, that all helps. But I suppose if you see Erling Haaland at some stage maybe moving to Real Madrid, that's not impossible since we're all guessing here. I think, with all the players that are around and Jude Bellingham helping him because he would be playing a little bit deeper, you could go that way. So one has to sit on the fence because, Bellingham is 20 years old and Erling Haaland is still 23. So they're both young players. I think that the one thing that you have to say about Haaland, even though I don't think he's a great all-around player, but he's been consistent doing scoring at Borussia Dortmund and now at Manchester City. If he continues doing that, I think there's going to be a time that people may be able to overlook some of the shortcomings internationally and all of that. But Jude Bellingham seems to me, if I had to absolutely guess, maybe a little bit closer. But it's early. It's a great season for him. I think his role at Real Madrid will change. The goal scoring that he's doing right now may not be the case. So it's very often tough to claim to be the best all around. But if I had to, for the fun of it, right now, I would say Jude Bellingham.
Honestly, I was just about to say you're on an electric fence and you have to get off. You can't sit on it. You need to give me an answer. And right at the death, coming in at the back post, Michallik in for the tap-in the final minute. So Bellingham. And when you look at Erling Haaland last season, I mean, he scores 36 Premier League goals and all the other goals that he scored. I'm not saying he's overachieved, albeit he might have done, but now he's set himself a bar that he's got to reach. And look, Jude Bellingham's 8 in 8. That's going to be pretty impossible for him next season to try and replicate as well. So I suppose with something like this, we kind of really need to look bigger picture, don't we? Because the other way to put this, now that you've given us an answer, I think it would be a big surprise if both of these players ended their career without both winning the Ballon d'Or. They're that special, both individually and team players, aren't
they? So much of it depends on how, where do you go, where your career is, right? I mean, I look at Erling Haaland, who's superb, and so is Manchester City. What happens when Pep Guardiola leaves? I mean, that Manchester City, if I just had to look at what happened to Manchester United after Sir Alex Ferguson, how long it's taken Arsenal, even though they're playing very well right now, but still without the big trophies just yet under Arteta, those things may change. What's the career path for all those players? And I think at this stage, looking at Real Madrid, Bellingham's already there. At the young age of 20, he's scoring important goals, he'll just grow. So for Erling Haaland, I think he's a pure goal scorer. I don't think the bar that he said last season has to be overcome in order for him to get noticed. I think if he scores 25, 30 goals in next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, that's going to be enough. I think it's going to be about the trophies, the biggest trophies he wins. So if in the next few years, Erling Haaland and Pep Guardiola and everybody else continue to win the Premier League and continue to win the Champions League every other year at the very least, I think he's going to be in conversation, and we're going to have to recognize what he does for that club. Because let's not forget, even though I've mentioned, even recently, look at the game against Arsenal, where maybe hasn't scored the important goals, he's such a big player for them, and he will do that. So that's why I hope this is just for fun, because I have zero idea why that would be. And nobody can logically say what may happen. I think Erling Haaland has proven himself at the age of 23. Yeah. Think about that. Even at Dortmund, think how many Champions League goals he's already scored. Because we look at Manchester City, but he was already great for Dortmund as well. And Bellingham, obviously, at the same club, has put himself in a position where Real Madrid saw the talent and made a huge bet on him, and it's paying off at the moment.
Someone else we'll talk about later is Lionel Messi, and potentially maybe on the move as a loanee with the Major League Soccer season, just a couple of games to go for Inter Miami. But if it hadn't been for Lionel Messi winning the World Cup, do you think Erling Haaland would already have had a Ballon d'Or in his collection?
No. No. Leo Messi wins it. No, he wouldn't. I think Leo Messi, I don't know if last year. Yeah, now that you're starting to make a little bit more sense. A little bit.
You jumped. Honestly, you were straight in there, in there. And then you're like, oh, the water's a bit deep.
It's a good point. I think it would have been a much tougher decision. That is for sure. That is for sure, because that was a massive one. And with a season like that, fair point.
Wow, I've worked with you for 13 years, and that praise, honestly, you had to scrape a lot of layers off there to get something. It's like a broken clock, I suppose. You
had me on the path of thinking forward, and then you brought me back. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. By the way, just to wrap up on this, you spoke about potentially one day Erling Haaland may be playing for Real Madrid. Do you think him and Pep are kind of connected, and that if Pep leaves, that Haaland might think, you know what, now would be a good time for me? Or do you think they're total individuals? Pep will do what he does, and Erling Haaland will stay as long as he wants at Manchester City?
I don't think that's ever collected. It depends what Manchester City is thinking in terms of, because any big club, I think, is looking at a path, what happens after Pep, right? So I think if Erling Haaland feels that all the players around now and what Manchester City may do in the transfer market in January and next summer, I don't think it matters. But I think it's going to be very, very important who the manager will be. And Erling Haaland, as I've mentioned, he's been managed very, very well so far. Okay. Look, if I were Manchester City right now, I'm already looking at Roberto De Zerbi and thinking, this is the sort of manager that would fit this club very, very well, since we're guessing and thinking ahead. But I don't think so. I think Erling Haaland and his group probably know exactly what they want to do.